This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so that's good. So we are talking about AWS machine learning. So it may be a machine learning, but what is AWS machine learning, right? So obviously you can see AWS or maybe machine learning, artificial intelligence. Those are the buzzwords around the world right now. I mean, so everybody talking about ML, everybody talking about AI, everybody talking about deep learning, and people are telling, okay, we are migrating to the cloud platform. So what is really happening in the world? So what exactly the forecast? Let's imagine in next 10 and let's imagine in the next 10 years, okay, how it so how the things are going to be and what is um, yeah, let me check. Okay, let me quickly check. So I hope now I should be audible. Okay, fine. Thank you, Mubashri, for acknowledging. Yeah, fine. So so you might be coming from a different background. I mean, you might be coming from a banking sector, or you might be coming from a education sector. You might be serving an education sector, or you might be working with a corporate. Basically, you might be working for a specific corporate who serve the client, right? So, what is an opportunity here? So, I mean, so what exactly ML and AI is going to offer you? Let's imagine in a time of in next 2 years. Highlights of our of the webinar. So we're going to give a small introduction on what is this machine learning and what is this deep learning is, and what is this artificial intelligence services in AWS. Okay, so most of you people you might not also know what is this AWS is, right? What AWS is mean is Amazon Web Services. So we'll also see what is AWS and what AWS can able to offer in terms of ML and AI too. Okay. So, and then we're going to discuss about the very famous platform in AWS cloud. It's called Amazon SageMaker. So we're going to also see what is this Amazon SageMaker and what Amazon SageMaker is, how it is being really useful in terms of ML and AI on top of a cloud. And we'll also see how the job industries is being there right now. Let's imagine what is the opportunity for people who are good at ML and AI right now, and what is the forecast for, let's imagine, for the next 10 years, how the things again and again. Okay, so let's first of all, I guess, instead of first before me dumping a lot of knowledge on lot of technicalities about ML and AI, okay. So let's discuss on some few use cases around us. Basically, so let's discuss about some the use cases which we are using already. I mean, just a justification or just a validation saying, okay, so like, are we into ML and AI already? I mean, are we using machine learning use cases? Are we into future it right now? So let's just to do some validations related to that. Okay, let's discuss some few use cases. Okay, so this as a platform to learn ML and AI. So what is this ML and AI? How it can able to help you, right? So so first of all, like before proceeding further to the next slide, let's realize a few things. Okay, so we are into ML and AI already. I mean, we are using a machine learning services. We are using AI services already in our daily life. So to validate that, so for example, we will take our smartphone as a best example. Okay, so I hope everyone has at least Android smartphone, or maybe let's imagine, okay, you might be having an iOS, for example. Okay, so so like what are the few use cases that we are into already? For example, so in terms of Android application, you might be using a OK Google. I mean, if you see like OK Google, it's like you can able to talk to your Android phone. I mean, OK Google, can you sing me a happy birthday? So it's like a voice assistant, what it is called already. So so it can able to, like, what are the inputs that you get, can able to respond you back as a voice basically, right? So that's a voice assistant. Basically, you can able to use OK Google to call a specific person, or you can use OK Google to for example, to sing happy birthday, or to make or to write some message, or to send some WhatsApp messages, right? You can do more things like that. So OK Google is a one good example. And obviously every latest phones right now, starting from iOS, or maybe let's imagine even an Android mobile, the latest one what I'm talking about. So those phones has a face recognition application already, right? Face recognition, what is that really about? So obviously a face unlocking system. Basically, we use either a pattern, or maybe a PIN code to unlock the phone, right? And you have a one more option right now, so where you can use your face to unlock your phone, basically, right? That is usually a face recognition application, where it is called a computer vision application, what it is usually. So those things are usually on use cases of ML and AI already. Okay. So now let us also discuss about the few use cases that may rule the world, maybe in probably in next 10 years. Okay. So first of all, what you guys need to realize is nothing but you might be having a bit of a fear. Okay, saying that, okay, I am coming from a agriculture background. Do I have any of an ML and AI for me in next upcoming years? Or you might be coming from a, let's imagine, a chemical industries, related to chemical industries. Do I have an opportunity for ML and AI? Okay, folks, I will suggest you to like just to like wait. I guess there's an issue with my GoToMeeting. Let me quickly leave the meeting and let me join back. Okay, this should be fine now. Okay, so can you guys please just tell me, in case if my audio is clear for you guys, you can just tell me in the chat window. So like whether you hear my audio clearly.
Audio is clear. Audio is clear.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for acknowledging. Yeah. Yes, thank you. Okay. So we will proceed further. So now we will discuss about the few use cases that you can revolve around right now. It may be you don't want to upright really, because you might be coming from any different types of backgrounds, but there is a use cases for every ML. I mean, in terms of any industry, let's imagine you are coming from a agriculture background, you might be coming from a banking sector, you might be coming from a manufacturing sector, for example, or even you are coming from a space industry, for example. Okay, so every industry has a use cases, for example. So for example, you might be came around some few buzzwords in case if you're already familiar with ML and named entity recognition. So for example, sentiment analysis, for example, where it for sentiment analysis. So for example, let's imagine, okay, you are going to an Amazon.com and you are buying some products from Amazon. Okay, you're buying some products from Amazon. So you bought the product. Let's imagine you may acknowledge to that review saying that, okay, so okay, this the application of sentiment analysis is nothing but, let's imagine, like Amazon collects all this reviews, for example. So I guess a few of the people, they are reporting, okay, the audio is not clear. So I will suggest you to just wait.
Let's check. Fine. Okay, I'm just checking an audio. Give me a sec. Okay. So I should be audible now. Let's see.
That's good. Okay, thank you. So let's proceed further now. So like sentiment analysis is that exactly once, and maybe one more application of NLP would be text classification. So what I mean by text classification here is nothing but, let's imagine, okay, so text extract is a one particular application. Let's imagine, okay, data from it. I mean, imagine you have some, let me go with a use case for a betterment of our understanding. Okay, so let's take a farmers. Okay, let's take farmers who grow rice, or maybe they may grow some vegetables usually. So considering that, let's imagine, okay, it's a government, I mean, where farmers can able to buy that seeds actually. So like the farmers are going to buy those seeds in a half rate. Let's say one sec. So give me a sec. Okay. One sec, I will be joining back. One second, guys. So let me join back. So let me make sure. Hello, hello, hello. Okay. Okay. Okay, let me quickly check now. I should be fine now. Okay, let's get back to where we left. So like what we are discussing is, let's imagine, okay, the government is providing a seedlings for the farmers in a subsidy. So where government is going to provide those seedlings for the farmers in a half rate. They're not going to, farmers are not going to pay a full rate. They're going to pay a half a rate actually. So what I'm talking about here is, so in order to yeah, so the government has a application portal where farmers has to fill up the application in order to get the seedlings. Okay, so here, so what is happening? So like the farmers has to upload a document. Let's imagine, okay, the farmers are going to upload a let's imagine Aadhaar card or maybe a voter ID or something. Okay, so here what we are trying to do in a ML use case of a text classification. So the farmers are just going to upload a Aadhaar card. So from that you need to extract the text. I mean Aadhaar card will have the ID. I mean Aadhaar ID will be there and the address will be there. So those things has to be extracted. The farmers will upload a document in as an image and you have to extract the text from it basically. So that is exactly the use case in terms of a text classification. And obviously the one more famous use case is chatbots. Obviously the chatbots are ruling the world like nothing else right now. I mean, what do you mean by that? You can see, for example, you can see like a Flipkart as a chatbot and Amazon as a chatbot. Let's imagine, especially in terms of a Flipkart, if you go and buy some product, maybe if you want to return that product and it's something going wrong with that product. So let's imagine in the perspective of that, you need to return that product. Okay, basically you need to first of all, you need to get a permission with a Flipkart to just return it. For example, you need to talk to some customer support guy. So right now there is no customer support people who can able to help you. There is a chat bot actually which is sitting and helping for you guys actually. Okay, so chatbot is the one particular use cases which is actually driving the world right now. And obviously the very famous use cases will be like a self-driving car. Who don't like self-driving cars, right? Obviously we are expecting self-driving cars to come soon in India. Obviously Elon Musk, the Tesla has registered a company in India. Maybe we may expect soon electric vehicles along with self-driving cars, who knows, right? So, and that's one of the use cases, and again in ML and AI, and robotics is one of the very, very famous use cases in a machine learning. So what do I mean by that? Let's imagine this rovers, I mean automatic rovers, and especially you may know that in NASA is sending a few more rovers to Mars, and NASA sends like a latest rover to Mars, obviously. So those type of robots, it may be humanoid robots, for example, or maybe any robotics, that's a great application in terms of machine learning also, right? And this comes under a technique called reinforcement learning, what people used to call. We'll also discuss on that. So then we have a computer vision based application. So what I mean by computer vision based application is nothing but anything that you do related to images and videos. Okay, they can be called as a computer vision. So for example, let's imagine here, basically we are trying to do a customer behavior tracking. Customer behavior tracking is nothing but, let's imagine, okay, you are going to a famous a clothes brand. Let's imagine any brand that you like. Okay, for example. So for example, okay, they have a latest collections, okay, and near to every latest collections, let's imagine they have a camera. The camera has been fitted over there. So what do I mean by that? So why do they have a camera over there? I mean, let's imagine they are trying to capture a behavior of a customer. Let's imagine you are trying to take that particular product that you want to purchase, and basically they are trying to recognize what is the customer, how does the customer feel when he touched the product, and how does the customer feel when you touch the cloth, or maybe a shirt or a pant that you're trying to buy, right? So that's again a customer behavior tracking. So that is one of the application in machine learning. And then we have one more application that is in agriculture. Obviously, agriculture has a famous use cases and very variety of use cases. For example, identifying the pest. For example, let's imagine you have acres of land, and like there is a huge investment is going on for growing the vegetables, for example. Okay, and obviously you don't want to you don't want a lot of pests and pests coming and eating all of your vegetables, right? So there you can put you can able to detect a pest by using image recognition application, and that's one of the use case again. And obviously, in automotive industry, there are few more use cases. Let's imagine if you want to recognize and classify the traffic, or let's imagine you want to identify. Let's imagine. Let me throw some use case for you guys right now. For example, let's imagine we have CCTV cameras almost in every traffic light right now, obviously, right? Let's imagine, okay, you have a CCTV camera which is actually recording each and every person who is crossing the traffic light. Okay, let's imagine a people who crosses a red light without stopping there. I mean, a person who crosses a traffic light without he stopping there. Let's imagine you capture a number plate and you use a image recognition application basically to extract a text from it. Okay, and you know what is a number plate right now, and you can able to use that number plate to automatically find that particular person. I mean, you can able to, obviously government has a feature right now where you can able to find the particular person in online basically. So that's the one of the use case, for example. Okay, so there are very variety of use cases for, let's imagine you, in case if you're coming from a banking sector, so you have use cases of identifying again customer behavior, for example, or maybe a customer churn, for example. That's one of the example. Let's imagine customer churn is all about, let's imagine, okay, a customer came and bought some products from your grocery shop, for example, or maybe any brands. Let's imagine maybe you bought some TV, bought some washing machine from LG, or maybe from Samsung or Sony. Okay, customer churn is all about. So they get the customer data. Let's imagine Samsung or Sony or type of a companies, they have a millions of customer database already. And they have all this database, and they are trying to perform a machine learning just to check, for example, whether you guys are going to return back to that company again. Let's imagine you bought some products from MI. Okay. And they are going to perform a machine learning on your data, and they're going to check whether you're going to return back to MI in some time to buy some other product from MI. May not be a same TV, you might buy a MI phone or something else, right? So there are very very famous use cases, many use cases in every sector. Banking sector as a use case, agriculture sector as a use case, space industries, manufacturing industries. When it comes to manufacturing industries, let's imagine something called predictive maintenance. So predictive maintenance is all about identifying whether your asset is going to fail or not. Let's imagine, okay, industry is jumbled with a lot of different types of machines, obviously, right? Which is going to help us to manufacture the parts, basically, right? So like people used to gather a lot of data from that machines, and they are trying to perform a machine learning, and they are going to predict whether your machine is going to fail in next upcoming 30 days or not. That is called predictive maintenance. Okay, so there are many different types of use cases. So now, in a layman terms, let's try to understand. So what is the machine learning is basically how really the machine learning works. So what is the skeleton behind the machine learning? What are the elements? It is actually the combination of that. Okay. So for example, so just realize one thing, or maybe just imagine something. What exactly that you can see from this particular image? I mean, I'm asking a question for you guys. So what exactly that you can able to see from this particular picture? So just take a look for 3 seconds and just see what you can able to find from this. Okay, fine. So let me reveal what exactly that we are seeing from this picture. Okay, so we can able to see a beautiful park, right? It looks like a morning time or maybe evening time probably. And we can able to see a lot of people. They are in the park. There are a lot of women. There are a lot of men, and we can see beautiful dogs, and there are different breeds of dogs again. And there's a one dog which is carrying a ball in his mouth, right? And there are few dogs which are running, and few people are sitting, and we can able to see a path, and we can able to see a bench where people are sitting over there, right? So what is exact? And we can able to see a lot of grass, obviously. And we can able to see a lot of trees also over here, right? So I will suggest you to question yourself right now. How do you know this is a picture of a park? Well, how do you know this is a dog? For example, this is a dog. How do you know this is a man? And how do you know this is a woman? And you can also classify between the ages, right? So this person looks a bit older, right? And we have some teenagers here, right? So how do you guys know this basically, right? So if we question ourselves, right, you will be getting a lot of questions. It's nothing but yes, I learned it everything from my kid. I mean, so when I'm in a kid, I started learning everything, right? This is how the entire what is the growth cycle of us, right? Basically. So for example, let's imagine a newborn baby which is just a 1 year old, right? So if you're asking a question for that 1 year baby, so maybe 1 year baby cannot talk even, right? So a barely 1 year old baby can able to barely recognize his father, and he or she can able to recognize his mother, right? Other than that, baby doesn't know much, so he or she can eat. So that's the one thing, right? And what happens when the baby grows? Maybe the particular the kid may go to a school, right? It may be a elementary education, for example. So there he will be started learning fluently, for example, in his own mother tongue, or maybe he will be also identifying the difference between, okay, she's a woman and I'm a man, right? And once after that, he may go to primary school, so where he will be learning first grade, second grade, where he will be started learning many different types of languages, English, Hindi, Tamil, Kannada, whatever it is, right? So there, what happens? So why I'm talking about this ultimately? So you can able to see in a different age cycle, the amount of information that you are learning keeps on increasing. So till we die, let's imagine that till we die, we'll be keep on learning the things, right? So here we have a school kid, and then we go to a job. Then you may become some senior person in the particular job that you are in. Then you may get retired, and then you may take some rest, and finally we die, right? So till this entire age cycle, what I'm trying to tell, like, we will be keep on learning. So why I'm introducing this? Is this a machine learning? No, it is not a machine learning, obviously, but this is how exactly a machine learning also works. So this is what exactly that we are trying to do in our machines. Basically, what exactly we did till now, right now, from our young age, when we are in a kid, we are keep on learning lot of data. I mean, so let's imagine ourselves as a machines like this. Let's imagine I have a servers, I have a personal computers, and I have a low-end PC, Raspberry Pi, right? Let's imagine ourselves as okay, so our biological machines, we are keep on learning lot of data, right? What happens once we learn, we get more better in a subject basically, right? So this is what exactly a machine learning is. Instead of we learning, we take that data. That data can be called as a data set. We teach that data to our computers, our machines, our servers in a cloud basically, right? So this is what exactly a machine learning in a layman term. And if you want to understand machine learning in a definition, machine learning is all about studying about algorithms and mathematical models. So in other words, so machine learning is all about teaching a complex mathematical models to your computer. So obviously we know that machines can, at the end of the day, it can able to understand numbers, that is 0 or 1, right? So entire machine learning is it's all about the mathematics, right? So machine learning is all about teaching a complex mathematical models to a computer. So when it has learned all the complex mathematical models, it can able to make a prediction. So machine can able to make a futuristic prediction. For example, let's take a weather forecasting. So for example, we can able to make a forecast whether it is going to rain tomorrow or not. Or let's imagine you have a two-wheeler and we are collecting a lot of data from your two-wheeler and we are performing a machine learning with that, and we are trying to make a prediction whether your two-wheeler is going to fail in next 30 days or not. So we are making a prediction here, right? So making a futuristic prediction is the one use case. Or maybe let's imagine we are talking about computer vision based applications like identifying whether the given phase is a male or a female. To identify that, whether the given phase is a men or women, whether the given phase is a dog or a cat, right? So again, those type of use cases. So, and to get started with a machine learning, do you really need to know a programming? So to answer that question, yes, obviously. For example, there are certain platforms where you don't need any programming experience to get started. For example, we are talking about AWS machine learning here, right? So AWS is a cloud platform, first of all, Amazon Web Services. Amazon Web Services is a complete cloud platform. So there are many different types of cloud platforms, like you might be know about Microsoft Azure, you might be know about Google Cloud. But saying that AWS is a world leading cloud platform, I mean, AWS holds a maximum share in the market. So that's why so AWS is being used by many companies. For example, many corporates are using AWS to run their machine learning services on top of it. So do you need to know a programming language to get started with the machine learning? Yes. So if you want to become an expert, so you need to know a programming language, anything from here, what I displayed. But so like even a cloud platforms like Microsoft Azure, they have a platform, ML platform, where you don't need a much programming. It's like a drag and drop. So you can drag the particular modules, you can drop it, and you can construct a machine learning application on top of it. But if you want to do some more customization for a use case, tomorrow you got some unique product that you want to work on it on your client basis, or maybe you want to do your own project. Maybe the drag and drop process may not be helping you till end. So, but you need to do everything from a scratch. Obviously, we like to do everything from a scratch when you are trying to build your own unique application, right? Then you need to know programming, obviously. So you can able to perform a machine learning by using many different types of programming languages. Maybe a Python, you can use Python, you can use R, you can use Go, even you can use a C++, JavaScript, and Java to do that. So, but anyway, what is the best choice here? Obviously, the Python is the best choice. Obviously, many workloads in the world is running on top of a Python. So that's the one reason to choose a Python as a best choice over here. So obviously. So, and before getting started with machine learning, okay, so you need to know certain the skeletons of a machine learning. So what is exactly hidden in terms of a machine learning, basically? So machine learning is all about study of complex mathematical models, teaching a complex mathematical models to a computer. So if you see complex mathematical models, it's a combination of let's imagine a statistics and probability. For example, you know what is statistics and probability, right? Everyone we have learned in our school education. So you need to know about the concepts of statistics, and you need to know the concepts of probability. So those concepts are very important when you want to get started with the machine learning. And you need to know the different types of data types, basically. So what I mean by data types here, so we are talking about teaching a data to a machine, right? So data can be many types, right? So for example, numerical data, categorical data, ordinal data. So for example, what is this numerical data? Okay, so numerical data represents some sort of quantitative measurement. Okay, So what I mean by that, let's imagine, okay, height of a person, or maybe weight of a person, or maybe let's imagine you have a website, the loading time of that website, right? Or maybe a stock price, a specific price of a stock. So this is all a best examples for numerical data. So, but still numerical data are two types, like discrete data and continuous data, for example. So what is this discrete data and continuous data? So discrete data. So for example, so discrete data is usually integer based, obviously. So for example, the best example would be how many years, how many purchases did the customer made in a year. So you can able to count clearly how many purchases did a customer make, and how many times did I flip the head, how many times did I flip the, for example, tail, right? So this is a discrete data example. Then we have continuous data. So continuous data, so like where it has some infinite number of possibilities. We cannot able to measure it very particularly. For example, how much time did I take how much time it took for a user to check out in a, let's imagine you are putting some product in a cart in Amazon, and how much time probably it took for you to check out that. So can you able to count that? It's hard, not even possible. You cannot tell that, okay, every time when I add a product in a cart in Amazon, I will check out in next 30 minutes. No, it has an infinite number of possibilities, obviously. So how much rainfall like that we got in a day? So even you can able to measure it, but the density of a rainfall will vary, obviously, in every places. Even if you are in a radius of 1 kilometer, the density of a rain will vary. So that is a good example of the continuous data. But then we have a categorical data. So categorical data is again a type of a data that you can expect in your machine learning use cases. Okay, let's imagine, okay, you have three categories of flowers. Let's imagine let's imagine any different three categories of flowers, and so you are trying to perform a machine learning on all the three categories of flowers. At the end of the day, the use case is to predict the given flower belongs to category A or category B or category C. So category A, B, C will be your three categories of flowers, right? So your use case is to predict whether the given category of flower belongs to which category, okay? A, B, C. So that is a categorical data, for example, okay? So a category can be, for example, even you can consider a gender, that can be a category, yes or no, again a binary data, races, a state of residences, a product category can be a category, a political parties that we have, so that can be also category, right? So then we have something called ordinal data. So what I mean by ordinal data is nothing but, so ordinal data is a mixture of both numerical and categorical data, obviously. So for example, here categorical data has some mathematical meaning. So here categorical data doesn't have any mathematical meaning, but here we have. So for example, let's take a movie review as a best example. Let's imagine you guys are going for a movie and you're reviewing it. So each and every star has a specific meaning, correct? But it is also having some mathematical meaning. So this is a ordinal data. And obviously, then you need to also know about some topics in statistics and probability. Without you knowing things like this, statistics and probability, some basics like data types, you cannot become a machine learning engineer at all. So because this is all the needed basics. So in a statistics and probabilities, there are a wide variety of topics. So for example, very basic topics like mean. So mean is nothing but an average. We know that, obviously. So like let's imagine you have a given data set like this. Let's imagine this is a use case of maybe in your street, you are counting, okay, how many children we have in every home, for example, and you are taking that as an average, and this is your average number. That is nothing but a mean. Then we have a median. So then we have a median. So median is all about sorting the middle number, basically. So first we sort the number. So this is our number. We sort it properly, and we have four numbers here, four numbers here, and this is our middle number. So this is our median, basically. So, and what if I have two numbers in the middle instead of having a one number? So basically, you can able to add it and divide it by 2. So basically, again, you take average, right? So median, and then we have something called mode. So what is this mean, median, mode? And the final one is mode. So let's imagine we are counting, okay, So this is in your street, you have this many number of each and every home. We are making a count. For example, how many zeros we have, how many twos we have, how many threes we have. So totally we have for example, we have zeros in 4 homes. Then the zero is the highest number. Okay. Considering that is 0 here. So, right, I will suggest you to mute your mics in case if you are switching on. Yeah. So this is again statistics and probabilities are one concept that you want to know really when you are getting started with the machine learning. So one more concept that you want to know, that is standard deviation and variance. So again, those are things that we want to learn much more in depth. So standard deviation and variance. So for example, variance and standard deviation is all about reading the data, how your data is distributed. I mean, what do I mean by data is distributed? Let's imagine, okay, we take a we take a use case of, for example, let's imagine, okay, we take a use case of how many people have bought different types of throughout for last 5 years. Okay, for last 5 years, taking us a data bought different types of let's imagine. Let me mute. Okay, good. Okay, so for example, we have a 5 years of data, like let's imagine around entire India, how many people have bought different varieties of two-wheelers. Maybe you might bought a two-wheeler from Apache, you might bought a two-wheeler called, let's imagine, from TVS, you might bought a two-wheeler from Honda or Yamaha, right? We take that data, right? So if you put it in a graph, okay, so studying about the distribution basically, okay. So that's a quick way of understanding. So standard deviation and variance, okay. So let's derive it a bit of formula, like how the standard deviation and variation really work. So, but when it comes to machine learning, you don't want to really worry about the formulas, because you don't want to ever memorize the formulas, because a Python can able to take care about that. You never ever don't want to memorize a formula here. Okay, that's a good thing here. So variance, okay, the variance is represented as sigma square here. Okay, sigma square. For example, let's take a data set something like this: 1, 4, 5, 4, 8. Okay, first we will take a mean of it. So mean is nothing but we are taking an average. Okay, so now we are taking a difference for that mean. So difference is nothing but, so for example, 4.4 is our mean. We are minusing 1 minus 4.4, that is 3 minus 3.4. 4 minus 4.4, that is minus 0.4. That's the difference from the mean. Then we are taking something called finding a squared difference. Okay, so we are squaring these numbers. Minus 3.4 into minus 3.4, 11.56, something like that. And then we are finding the average of a squared number. How do we do that? Add everything and divided by the number of sample space, that is 5. So now we have our sigma square, that is 5.04. That is our variance. So, but you should never ever going to do that. So you're going to just call a Python function which can able to do it for you, which can able to give us sigma square as 5.04. But at the skeleton level, this is how it is working. And what is the standard deviation basically? It's nothing but, so sigma is our standard deviation. So how do you find the standard deviation from this? Just pass the square over here, it becomes a square root. You just take a square root of 5.04, that will be your sigma. So it's all about studying how your data is being distributed. Okay, so, and one more thing that you want to know. So right now we talked about use cases, and so in order to work on any use case that we discussed, right, it may be if you want to work on text classification, if you want to work on a predictive maintenance, if you want to work on a face recognition, right? So in order to design any machine learning application, you need to know all this, the skeleton concepts like statistics and probability, data types. And one more thing that you need to be aware about, that is data engineering basics. So what I mean by data engineering basics is nothing but, so you have a data. Let's imagine I told about, we take a use case of in the past 5 years in India, how many people have bought two-wheelers from TVS, Yamaha, maybe Honda, maybe like a different types of two-wheeler manufacturers. Okay, so data engineering is all about putting some engineering on a data. So what I mean by that is nothing but, so your data might have a lot of missing data. What I mean by missing data is nothing but, let's take a one more use case to understand that. Let's imagine you guys are attending my webinar. Thanks for that. After this webinar, okay, let's imagine I'm sharing a feedback form for you guys. I'm telling you guys to fill up your name, current city, some other details. Okay, so not every person will fill every details, correct? Some of you guys might forget to fill your current city. Some of you guys might be forgetting to fill your address, for example. Okay, those are called missing data. So you should also deal with that missing data. That comes under a data engineering basically. Okay, and there is a one more technique. Okay, it is called train test methodology when it comes to machine learning. So what do I mean by that? Train test methodology. So for example, okay, let's forget about machine learning. You are a school kid, or maybe a college person. You're going for a college. Okay, so what happens? Let's imagine. Okay. So for the entire semester, you will be learning the syllabus from your college, right? So once after you learning, so then let's imagine it's a completely a math. I'm talking about not any theory subject. Let's imagine I'm talking about math exam, a mathematics exam. Okay. So what happens for the entire syllabus, the entire semester you're learning the syllabus, and what happens? You cannot expect the same things that you have learned in your subject. I mean, same things means the same question with the same values, correct? In your exam, they will provide a different values with different results that you may expect, right? So what I'm trying to tell is nothing but, so train test methodology is all about, so you teach a data with you will be splitting a data into, let's imagine a two types. One is a training data and another is a testing data. So you train your machine with your training data, and once your machine has learned enough, you test your machine with the testing data, basically. So, for example, let's take this two-wheeler data that I'm talking about. Let's imagine, okay, we are trying to make a forecast. First, we are learning from past 5 years how many people have bought a different brands of two-wheeler. It may be TVS, Yamaha, Apache, it may be Honda, whatever it is. And we are trying to make a forecast. What would be the sales of this brands in next year? For example, that is a use case. So let's imagine we have a 5 years of data, 5 years data we have. So what we do from that 5 years data, we split 70% of data for training, and remaining 30% of data we keep it for testing. Okay. So what happens here? Your machine will learn that 70% of data, and it will learn all the patterns from it. So what do I mean by patterns? It will learn how is the pattern of Yamaha, how is the pattern of TVS, how is the pattern of, let's imagine, Suzuki, or maybe some other brands. Okay, but the reality is your machine has never know what is actually happening in that remaining 30% of data. Your machine has ever not know that what is actually happening in the remaining 30% of data. So when you are testing with that remaining 30% of data, so for that testing data, your machine is going to make a prediction based on the testing data. What would be the forecast for the next 1 year? So for example, that's a train test methodology. Usually we follow in a machine learning. So then we have some other concepts like overfitting. Okay, overfitting is some kind of an error that you will get in a machine learning. Let's imagine, okay, overfitting is nothing but, let's understand in a layman terms. Okay. Let's imagine, okay, so you are giving an examination for, let's imagine for like a civil service exam, okay, for in India. So there are a particular syllabus that you need to follow in a civil service exam, okay. So let's imagine you're really confused, you learn some random data from internet, but it is never relevant to a syllabus. And when you go and attend your exam, you couldn't score enough well. I mean, you really failed in a civil service exam. So what I mean by that, you really confused and learned all the random things. You never learned a proper data. So overfitting is similar to that. Your machine has learned the data, but when it is making a predictions, okay, so the predictions are going wrong. I mean, it is not making ever the good predictions. Let's imagine let's imagine, okay, if you take that same the two-wheeler use case, let's imagine the forecast says that in next 1 year, let's imagine Honda can expect 1 million sales in their two-wheeler, but the results, the reality will be Honda maybe never gone to 1 million. Let's imagine they are just a 500,000. So here your predictions went wrong. So that is nothing but overfitting. So overfitting is all about, it's again the topic in a statistics. So where you have where your machine has learned the data, but it doesn't have enough space to fit any more data in that. So taking care of overfitting is also necessary when it comes to machine learning. Okay. And one more problem, as I already discussed in machine learning, is cleaning your data. So cleaning and normalizing your data. What is this cleaning? As I told you, let's imagine you guys have filled the Google form for a feedback, and some of you guys might forget to fill your address. Some of you guys might have forget to fill your current city, right? So when we are performing a machine learning, we need to really worry about those missing data. For example, if you see in this code snip, I have a lot of missing data like this, right? So how do we deal with that missing data? There are like you can use. We talked about mean, mode, median, right? So you can use mean, mode, median to fix this missing data. I mean, you can take a mean of other, let's imagine a rows and columns, and you can replace the values over there wherever you have a missing data, for example, like this. So this is again a thing that you need to know. So normalizing data is nothing but, let's imagine, okay, we are recording a temperature value. Let's imagine a temperature can vary from 0 degrees C to, let's imagine, to 100 degrees C, for example. Okay. So we have a variable. We have a very different numbers here. Number can even go to 150, or even a number can go to beyond the 1000 degrees Celsius also, right? So what if I normalize all this single digit or 2-digit or 4-digit numbers into 0 to 1? I mean, I will just normalize your data into 0 to 1. I mean, let's assume if it is 0.01, it can be 10 degrees Celsius. Or let's imagine 0.012 can be 20 degrees Celsius. So I'm normalizing all your values between 0 or 1. So that is, if you do normalization, it will be very easy when you are trying to perform a machine learning. Okay. So this is about data engineering. There are even more concepts that you want to know when it comes to data engineering, obviously. I'm just giving an overview when it comes to that. So then comes the data analysis. Why data analysis? So for example, okay, let's take the two-wheeler data as a example again. Let's imagine you have a 5 years sales data of all the different brands of a two-wheeler. Okay. Okay. So let's imagine you have a data in a CSV file. Let's imagine you might have some 50,000 rows. 50,000 rows. Okay. I want you guys to review all the data from that. I mean, you cannot even scroll down to each and every column. I mean, each and every row. You cannot review a data. So basically, in order to generate an insight from a data, so people use a data analysis tool, right? You may use different varieties of graphs, right? It may be you might using a line graph, you might use a bar graph, you might use a temperature graph, you might use a box plot like this, right? You may plot a histograms like this in order to visualize your data. So data visualization is again a very important topic when it comes to machine learning. So because in case if you don't know how to visualize the data, you will never come to a conclusion saying that the input data that you are providing for your machine to learn, you never know whether the data is clean enough. It doesn't have anything called outliers. There is a word called outliers in a machine learning. The outliers are something like unwanted data that you have. It's like unwanted data you should never feed to your machines to learn. So how do you identify that outliers? Maybe data visualization can be one option. So you need to know how to use the different varieties of graphs, maybe a bar chart, how that works. pie chart, how that works, line graph, how that works, or maybe a box plot or whisker plot, how that works. So data visualization is again best tool. AWS has a lot of data visualization tools. On a Python, you can also use tools like, let's imagine, Matplotlib, Seaborn. There are very famous libraries. You can also use that. Yeah. So obviously, once you know what is data engineering, statistics and probability data analysis, you need to know what is deep learning is basically, right? So deep learning. So when it comes to deep learning, obviously people talk about, again, that's a buzzword, deep learning. There is something called neural network. So let me show that neural network, how it looks. For example, maybe I will show it in upcoming slides, right? So yeah, we have a representation here. Yeah. So the neural network basically represented something like this. Which looks like a circle. But let us.
ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬೇಡ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಅಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಟೇಬಲ್ ನೋಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಹೊಲಸಾಗೈತಿ ಟೇಬಲ್ ಹೊಂಚ್ಕೋಗನ್ ಇದನ್ನ ಶಾರ್ಪ್ನರ್ ಒಳಗ ಹಾಕೊಳ್ಳಿ ನೀ ಹಂಗೆ ಕಿಡಾತಿ ಹುಚ್ಚಿರ್ಕತಿ.
Okay. Fine. Okay, so what is this neural network? I mean, when it comes to deep learning, we have to talk about neural network. So what is this neural network really about? Let's take our human brain as a good example. Okay, so what do I mean by that? So our human brain actually uses something called neurons, which we have billions of neurons, obviously, which carry the information from one part of a brain to another part of a brain. Obviously, we learned about it. So neurons which carry the electrical signal in our human brain, basically. Let's imagine every neuron are connected each other. Let's imagine billions of neurons are connected in our human brain like a network. Okay, each and every neuron carries the information, the electrical signal. So when it has enough electrical signal, it passes that information to a next neuron. So that is how the deep learning is really working so far. So when it comes to deep learning, okay, let's imagine we do a lot of deep learning use cases. For example, a computer vision based application. So for example, self-driving cars like Tesla, right, or maybe Google, they use a deep learning technologies to train a model for their self-driving cars. Why? Because so here you need to, when it comes to self-driving cars, it has to process a huge amount of data. Obviously, it's not very limited amount of data. It has to process the person. It has to process the obstacle in front of the car. It has to process the distance between the car which is in front of it. It has to analyze what is happening towards the left side, what is happening towards the right side of the road. Lot of data has to be processed usually, right? So in order to process that, neural networks are the best example. And you need to also realize, in order to process that huge data, you need to also have the very powerful hardware, right? So to process, that's why people use GPUs in deep learning, graphical processing units, right? For example, how these graphical processing units are really working. So for example, let's take our human eye as a good example. Human eye. So we have something called cortical columns in our human eye. So what is this cortical columns are, which look something like this that you are seeing in our right side of a picture. So this cortical columns are arranged as a stack. What I mean by stacks are nothing but, so they are arranged like a parallel columns like this. Okay. So what happens? They are, so for example, you can able to see a lot of different colors here. Each and every color can represent a mini column here. Okay. So what happens? Your information is being processed parallelly. This is how our human eye works. So that's how the information has been captured by your eye. Maybe you are seeing some object. So that's how the information is being processed parallelly. So this is how exactly our GPU works. So then we're going to talk about deep learning. Okay, so deep learning neural networks, which is called deep neural networks otherwise. Okay, so this is a similar to our neurons in our brain, as I told you already. So for example, a neural network will look something like this, which has an input layer here. So the first layer can be called as the input layer. Then we have the final output layer. Okay, so that will be our final output layer, and some other layers which is in the middle can be called as a hidden layers basically. Okay, so for example, let's imagine, okay, I want to make a prediction saying that, okay, whether it is going to be raining tomorrow or not. I mean, basically, I'm trying to do a weather forecasting. Okay, so what are the factors which will decide whether it is going to rain or not, right? So let's imagine temperature, humidity, wind speed. So then I have a temperature, humidity, and wind speed. So then I have a 3 input neurons, and what the number of outputs that you may get, that will be your output numbers actually. Let's imagine I'm going to get 3 outputs saying that it's going to rain and it's going to be windy, and so like for example these 2 outputs, then it's going to be a 2 output neurons that you might be required at the last. Okay, so this is how the neural networks looks actually. So each and every information that you input here, it will be passed to multiple neurons. Each and every neuron holds something called weights. The weights are nothing but the numbers. Okay, so what is really happening inside that neural network? Okay, so for example, before seeing what is happening really inside that neural network, we need to know there are different types of neural networks which are available in industry. For example, a feed-forward neural network. It's a very initial stage of ML and AI. So feed-forward neural networks are being used. And we have something called convolutional neural networks, which is called CNN. So very famously used for computer vision based applications, anything that you want to do related to images and videos. Then we have like image classifications, right? Or maybe object detection, scene detection. Then we have RNN, otherwise called recurrent neural networks. What I mean by that? So again, it's a type of a neural network which has a great use cases like, for example, you want to make a predictions of whether the stock is going to increase or whether it's going to decrease in the stock market, right? Or maybe you want to do some sentiment analysis, real-time translation, like Google Translation that we have, right? So then we have another 2 types of neural networks, which is derived from RNNs, which is called LSTM, which is called long short-term memory network, which is good for speech recognition. Okay. Then we have something called GRU, gated recurrent unit. There are some very famous neural networks which are available in the world. So this is unique for for your own use cases. Let's imagine if you want to work with, like for example, we talked about forecasting the sales cycle of a two-wheeler manufacturer, right? So for that we can use RNN. For example, for a use cases related to identifying a person whether he has crossed the traffic light or not. To that we can use CNN. So that is for computer vision. Okay. So activation function. So what is this activation function is really about? So we talked about this neural network, right? So what is really happening inside this? So what is really happening inside this? So that is nothing but activation function. So it's nothing but a function, a mathematical function which is actually running inside. So there are many different types of activation functions that you can choose for your use case. For example, there is something called ReLU. Then there is something called leaky ReLU. There are many different types of activation functions actually. So each and every activation function do the math in different way inside the activation function. So it simply it does the mathematical calculations inside by using function. Okay, so that is what activation function is. Okay, so once we are done with, so these are some concepts that you really need to learn. Okay, so but when it comes to machine learning, so you are teaching a data to a machine. Your machine is going to learn a data, then it can able to make a prediction. So, but a machine can able to learn a data in many 3 ways. For example, the first way is a supervised learning, what it is called. Okay, what is the supervised learning is? For example, supervised learning is all about, let's imagine here I have a 3 varieties of coins here. I have Indian coin, Arab coin, and some US coin. Okay, and I have a weight for all these coins: 5 grams, 2 grams, 4 grams. So weight here can be classified as feature, and currency can be classified as label. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell is, so let's imagine your machine is going to make a prediction saying the coin is weighing 5 grams. So then your prediction is going to be, okay, it's a 1 rupee. So let's imagine your machine is going to prediction as 2 grams, then it's going to be Arab coin. So the conclusion here is supervised learning is all about your machine is going to learn. The machine is going to learn depends on a feature and label. So that is, whenever you have your data holds a feature and label, that can be a supervised learning. Then we have unsupervised learning. So for example, unsupervised learning is nothing but learning without no labels. There is no label at all. So for example, a cricket can be a good example. For example, here I plotted a graph, X versus Y. So here I have grouped the bowlers and batsmen, and I have a runs and wickets. So based on that, I can able to tell who is the batsman and who is the bowler. There is no label. Okay. Then we have a reinforcement learning, for example. So reinforcement learning is a very famous use case when it comes to self-driving cars, robotics, all those stuff. Okay. So here, for example, okay, let's imagine I'm trying to teach my machine. Okay, saying that this is a cat. I'm trying to teach my machine of all the pet animals. Let's imagine. Okay. So let's imagine after once if my machine has learned all the data, I'm passing a picture of a cat to make a prediction. But my machine has made a wrong prediction. It told it is a dog. Then I will give something called a negative feedback to my machine, saying, okay, this is not a cat, it's a dog. So what is happening? So your machine will learn from that negative feedback. So on the next time when you pass a picture of a cat, it's going to make a proper prediction saying it's a cat. So this is how reinforcement learning usually works. Okay. Saying this, now we will see what AWS is offering in terms of ML and AI. Okay. So what really AWS is offering. Okay. So this is the complete ML stack of AWS. So I have listed down all the possible services what AWS offers here. For example, so AWS has something called AI services and ML services. Okay. So AI services is all about, so artificial intelligence services. Intelligence services is all about where you don't have any machine learning, machine learning work over there. Basically, there is no job for you to train a machine learning model over there because the model is already created by AWS experts. So basically, you can consume a service from them. So that's how AI services works in AWS. For example, we have Amazon Rekognition, which is something related to computer vision. Okay, where you can do image recognition, face recognition, something like that. Then we have a speech-related activities like Amazon Poly, which can able to convert a speech into text. Okay. Then we have Amazon Transcribe. Then we have services related to text, like a text extract. Like for example, if you have a document where you want to extract all the text from it, so you can able to use text extract. Then we have a search-based service. Then we have a chatbot service. So chatbot service is a real-time chatbot service, which is called Amazon Lex. So where you can able to where you can able to build a customized chatbot, and you can extract that chatbot and you can able to deploy it anywhere you want, maybe in your Facebook, website, something like that. Some personalization service, forecasting services. Like if you want to do any forecasting services, like weather forecasting, as I told you, like a sales forecasting for an automobile company. Then we have a fraud detection related use cases. I mean, if you want to work on any fraud detection use cases like ATM fraud, any network tampering card, someone is trying to hack your network or not, right? Based then those things. Something related to development, Amazon Code Guru is something related to let's imagine you are writing a code in Java. You're trying to build a web application, Java application, something like that. How do you make sure your code is efficient, right? A machine can able to predict it. So that is code guru. So then we have deep lens, contact lens, or maybe so that is again related to AI service. And finally, the very important service that you want to know is ML service, that is Amazon SageMaker. So Amazon SageMaker is the service that you want to really know. I want to know when you want to become an expert. It is called AWS Machine Learning Specialist. If you want to become, you need to know how to use Amazon SageMaker. So Amazon SageMaker, I can able to derive it in 3 letters: B, T, and D. So what I mean by B, T, and D: build, train, and deploy. So you want to build a machine learning environment, and then you need to train a machine learning model in a real time. Then you need to deploy a machine learning model in a real time. So most of the people who are into ML and AI, they know how to train a model, but they never know how to deploy a model in a real time. But SageMaker can able to help you. Okay. And obviously we love our algorithms. AWS supports various different types of algorithms. So algorithms are some software packages which is designed by someone where you can utilize that one to build a machine learning model. Okay, like a TensorFlow, MXNet, Gluon, CV, Keras, PyTorch. There are many more algorithms in AWS. AWS itself supports like 25 plus algorithms. Okay, where you can able to use that one to build your own machine learning model. Okay, and obviously when it comes to AWS cloud, right? So let's imagine if you are trying to make a machine learning model on your PC. Okay, so what do you do usually, right? You use your own PC to build a model. You might use your own local disk C, local disk D, right, to train a model. I mean, to put your data, correct? But when it comes to platform, so when it comes to a cloud platform, you need to use some kind of a storage platform to store your data, obviously, correct? So for that reason, we will be using a platform called Amazon S3 in AWS, which stands for Simple Service Storage Platform. So it's similar to Google Drive, if you imagine. So you can dump any kind of a data you want, irrespective of whatever the format is. It can support any format inside. It may be a PNG, videos, audio files, text files. It can support anything inside. So S3 is the one famous service. It may be any company who is using AWS for machine learning. So there are a lot of companies. Netflix uses machine learning services on AWS. Schneider Electronics, Robert Bosch, Nelson Survey. Like I can keep on saying these things actually. Okay. Size of a data supported by S3. Someone asked a question. So there is no limitation. Unlimited storage space actually. S3 can able to support. But let's imagine, okay, if you are dumping this files inside, let's imagine I'm dumping a CSV file inside. This can be called as an object. The maximum size of a one object should be 5 TB. One object size can be till 5 TB, but the size is, but you can able to put a unlimited of data inside. Okay, and it can able to provide 99.999 durability and 99.99 availability. So you will never face a downtime, and your data will be available every time for you without any loss. So durability is very good in S3, and comparing to any other data store service in AWS, like maybe relational databases, non-relational databases, comparing with everything, so S3 is very low cost. Scalability is nothing like anything else. Availability, security. So S3 supports very high level security. It supports something called KMS. It's called Key Management Service in AWS, where you can create your own customer managed keys, CKMS, and it also by default it supports AES 256. So that is more than enough for us to in terms of security, right? So flexibility and simple data transfer. So it's a web-based data transfer. You don't want to worry. So for example, if I put an object in a S3, how it will look? So you can make a folder like this. Then I have a file name, apple.jpg. A folder can be a key name, and apple.jpg can be a version ID. Okay, and each and every object that you have that you add inside S3, it will add its own dedicated URL. It will have its own dedicated URL where you can use that one to extract the data. So finally, we have to talk about Amazon SageMaker. So Amazon SageMaker, it's a very important ML service that you want to know. So Amazon SageMaker is a managed service. So what do I mean by managed service here is nothing but, so AWS manage the infrastructure. You don't want to manage any infrastructure over there, like configuring a software, managing a server, something like that. AWS takes care of everything for you. So you just use SageMaker to build and train and deploy your models in a real time. Okay, so Amazon SageMaker runs on a Jupyter Notebook. If you don't know what is Jupyter Notebooks is, Jupyter Notebook is a web-based IDE, which is, let's imagine, where you can run your code on a web itself. So Amazon SageMaker runs on Jupyter Notebooks, where you can run your Python code on it. Okay, so Amazon SageMaker, it supports, as I told you, 25 plus algorithms, including TensorFlow, Apache MXNet, PyTorch, scikit-learning, and Amazon itself has a 16 plus inbuilt algorithms. You can able to work on all these algorithms, and you can train and you can deploy a model in a real time in SageMaker itself. So for example, the typical workflow of a machine learning model will look something like this. So we will first initially, what we do, we take a data, right? So we fetch a data. We talked about cleaning. We have to clean our data. Then we need to prepare our data to train a model. Okay, so this is the initial steps. So once you do fetch, cleaning, and prepare, so then you train a model. I mean, then you train a machine with the data. So once you train a machine with your data, then once after testing, you test a machine, or you will be evaluating your machine or evaluating a model. So as I told, 70% of data is taken for training, and remaining 30% of data you are using to test your model. So once you are feeling your results are good, you're going to deploy a model in a production. So once you deploy it, AWS SageMaker provides a REST API where you can use that REST API to build a client application. Okay. So then once after deploying, you can able to continuously monitor your model, and you can collect the data from it. And so it's called something called ground truth. You can collect a ground truth, and again you can retrain your model. So it is a continuous cycle. How your machine learning model life cycle will be. It's not exactly a life cycle. The cycle of a model. Because why you need to have this cycle? If you train your machine learning model, you're never ever going to train at once. You're going to train it again and again. The more data you provide to your machine, the better the predictions you're going to get it, right? So that's a thing. Some ML frameworks with SageMaker. So SageMaker supports all the different types of algorithms like Spike, Apache, Spark, or maybe Apache MXNet, TensorFlow, Keras, and AWS itself has 16 plus algorithms which it supports actually. So just a small statistics from 2018 till 2021, still, like if you see, TensorFlow is actually leading the world in algorithms, because TensorFlow supports many different types of use cases. It may be computer vision, NLP, time series forecasting. Mostly for all the use cases, TensorFlow supports. But if you see, TensorFlow is actually maintained by Google. It belongs to Google. But the reality is, even if it is maintained by Google, most amount of the workloads is running on AWS itself. So most of the people, they use TensorFlow on AWS. So that's the reality. Okay. So this is the thing. And so here is a quick surprise for you guys. So like right now, this is a webinar. So where I cannot do hands-on for you guys. I mean, hands-on practice is nothing but where I cannot do a hands-on along with you guys. So we are doing a complete hands-on workshop, which is starting from April actually. April 17th and 18th, we are doing a 2 days complete hands-on. So where you will be doing a real-time machine learning model design with me in this 2 days on April 17th and 18th. So in this April 17th and 18th, we'll be exploring many AI services like Amazon Recognition. We're going to completely explore, and we're going to explore Amazon SageMaker. We're going to build one model on TensorFlow. We're going to use the TensorFlow to make a model, and we're going to make a predictions, and we're going to deploy it in a real time. Okay. So before talking more information about this workshop, so let me give a quick demo on Amazon SageMaker. On Amazon platform, so where they can try to understand some AI services. Okay. So I'm going to give a demo on Amazon Recognition. So during when you are attending our workshop on April 17th and 18th, we will help you to create a AWS account. So you can create a AWS free trial account. You don't want to worry. You don't want to pay any the monthly payment for that. You don't want to worry in that way. So we will help you to create an account. No issues. So let me give a quick demo on Amazon Recognition, for example. Okay. So Amazon Recognition, as I told you, it's a computer vision based application. You can do anything related to computer vision, face recognition, object and scene detection, right? Text extraction, something like that. So for example, object and scene detection, we'll see it first. Okay, you can see here we have a random guy who is skating in the road, basically, right? If you check out, okay, once after uploading this image, a machine has made all the predictions. I mean, if I move my cursor, you can see it's a person, it's a car, it's a skateboard, car, and you can see it can also predict the wheel, right? So let me upload the picture from my own laptop, and let us try to understand how that predictions are really made. Okay, let me pick a picture quickly for you guys. So you can able to see in that particular picture, it is also making a bounding boxes. It is making a bounding boxes, and for each and every bounding boxes, okay, so we can able to see a predictions. Towards the right side, you can see the labels. Labels are nothing but a text word that is representing what is really happening inside that picture actually. So let me pick a picture quickly, so where we can able to try to make a predictions from our own image that we have. Okay. So let me try to pick this picture itself. Let's see what it can able to find in this. Okay, this picture will do. So if you see towards the right side, we'll get all the valid predictions. You can see like right now I uploaded the same picture of a park, and if I move my cursor, it can able to make a predictions. It can able to predict it's a dog, it's a bird. I don't know. I couldn't predict it, but machine is making a prediction. And you can see it's here. Machine is giving a predictions. Okay, 99.9%. There is a grass in that picture. 99.9%. There is a plant. 99.8% there is a person, human being, right? So this is a prediction what it can able to make. So then we are talking about image moderation. So image moderation is all about it can able to moderate a content in that picture. If I hit view, it can able to blur. If I hit blur content again, so this is about image moderation. What you guys going to like is a face analysis, for example. So face analysis is the exact same application that you might be using on your phone, which is being helpful for unlocking your face basically. So here we can see a beautiful woman. She's driving a car, and you can see looks like a face 99.9%, appears to be female 99.3%. Check out the age range. Age range tells 21 to 33 years old. She's exactly 21 to 33 years old. She's smiling, appears to be happy, and other predictions you get. Let me change the picture. I can toggle between the images here. Let me pick the picture of a kid. let me check the age. 5 to 15 years old. She's exactly in the age of 5 to 15. So this is about image recognition basically. So let me give one more demo. So we're going to use this Amazon recognition during our workshop on April 17th and 18th. We're going to do a hands-on by writing a program. So we're going to completely explore a SDK on it. So let me go text in an image. So this particular text in an image feature, it can able to text from an image. Do you remember I talked about traffic light use case? You can use cameras in a traffic light to extract a number, and you can find the particular person if he's crossing a red light, right? So this is exactly the one you can use. You can see here I have extracted the text from this image. So now I have my number plate over here. So that isn't it beautiful? So by using Amazon recognition, you can also do real-time video analysis. If you want to do a real-time video that is streaming, you can able to do it from this. So for example, let me play this video. So this is an Jeff Bezos, the CEO of an Amazon, and the CTO of an Amazon, who are talking in a conference. So if you see, real-time video recognition can able to occupy, I mean, it can able to extract a lot of details for you, starting from identifying the faces, identifying the celebrities too. It can able to identify what celebrity we have inside. And it can able to give a lot of labels saying that, okay, there are humans, people's labels, audience, crowd, speech. Okay, so a lot of information. Okay, so in this 2 days workshop that I'm planning, okay, in Amazon, on Amazon machine learning workshop on April 17th and 18th, we're going to completely explore Amazon recognition. And one more thing is, so I will talk about what is this pricing for this workshop, all those stuff. So this is the complete stack of machine learning. So what I'm talking about. So in this, we're going to completely explore Amazon recognition. You will be doing an hands-on with me, okay? And we'll be also exploring Amazon SageMaker. So we will be doing an hands-on with TensorFlow. Okay. So after this course, after this webinar, I will be sharing a registration link via email and a chat window. So after this webinar, also I will also giving away some free ebooks that you can download. The free ebooks will be some ebooks that you need to have when you're getting started with machine learning. So I will take still 5 minutes to complete the webinar. I will suggest you to wait. So I will also share the registration link to our workshop, which we have hosted our workshop registration in Townscript. That's a website where we are hosting. And and you might be having a question: is this a free workshop or is it a paid workshop? No, it is not actually a free workshop. It is actually a paid workshop. So comparing the prices, we are keeping this workshop a very limited price. So this workshop that we are planning on April 17th and 18th, Saturday, Sunday, so which we are starting from 1,500 rupees per person. So if you see this type of a workshop, usually the actual market fee is 3,500 rupees. It starts from 3,500 rupees. Obviously, there is no exception. But we guys are lucky people today. So because only for the people who are registered for this webinar, we are giving a 10% off. This is only for the people who are registered for our webinar. You can use this coupon code to get a 10% off. You don't want to even pay 1,499. You'll be getting a 150 rupees off from it. You can just pay 1,300 rupees to register for this particular workshop. So what's the difference from this webinar and that workshop? Here I am the only person I'm talking, but in the workshop, we will talk and we will be doing hands-on. So each and every project that I am doing on my screen, you will be doing on your screen too. So the instructions will be shared, and each and every activity that I do, you'll be doing it together. So you can check out the course curriculum, I mean the workshop curriculum that we will be doing, that we will be learning in this 2 days workshop. So I will be sharing a PDF and this workshop, the registration link, so where you can able to register further. Okay, so you can take a look. So we have clearly represented whatever the hands-on that we're going to learn. So we're going to start from introduction to ML and AI again. We're going to start from, so we're going to learn about some few topics of statistics and probability, data engineering, data analysis, again, deep learning concepts in a bit deeper way. And when it comes to Amazon recognition, we're going to do an hands-on on all these topics programmatically. We're going to use Amazon S3 completely, a complete understanding on Amazon S3, and hands-on on other AI services like Amazon Lex, Poly, Text Extract, and Translate, other services like that. And obviously our friend Amazon SageMaker, we're going to do a complete hands-on on Amazon SageMaker by using a TensorFlow as an algorithm. So that is going to be really awesome. So after the main takeaway from this particular workshop is going to be, you'll be having a clear knowledge on what is machine learning and what you can do with the machine learning, and you'll be having a clear understanding on what is SageMaker, what you can build with a SageMaker. Okay, so it's not only about machine learning here. So you'll be getting the knowledge on machine learning. That's the first takeaway. And second thing is, you're not only learning machine learning here, you're also learning how to use AWS services. What is AWS and how to use AWS services like a SageMaker, S3, right, and other services inside, right? So that's the second takeaway. And the third main takeaway is, so we are not just building, we are not just inviting you guys to our webinar. We are not just inviting you guys to our workshop. So we are building a community. So what I mean by community is nothing but we are bringing the people who are really interested in ML and AI together. So where you can be a part of our community. So where a community can be a part of a WhatsApp group or a Slack group or a Facebook group, where we spread a lot of words over there. I mean, so sharing a useful resource materials to ML and AI, machine learning related events, hackathons, or maybe job opportunities. We have started doing already. In case if you're not a part of a community, and this is a time to get started with our community. So first of all, Citron Technologies. So we actually like a IoT and AI company in the first time. So we are not a hardcore training company. So that's an advantage here. So we work with manufacturing industries. We work with automobile industry. So we provide IoT and AI solutions for them. So we know the real pains. What are the right practices when you want to get started with the machine learning? We are all aimed to deliver the industrial content basically. And we are part of Department of Science and Technology, which is recognized by Indian government. So we are receiving some kind of incubated in PhD step Coimbatore. So we have a domain expertise in AWS and machine learning. So yes, we are the right person for you guys to deliver a knowledge here. Yeah. So just go ahead and register for our workshop, so where you can get started with machine learning by doing an hands-on, and you will be also receiving a certificate once after you complete this workshop. So we'll be not providing a certificate for this webinar. We'll be providing a certificate for this workshop. You can also read about all the FAQs. Recordings will be provided. You'll be having an access to recordings of this workshop for a few weeks. And I will be also sharing a recordings of this current webinar too, no worries. Certificate will be provided, there is no issues. Don't lose this workshop. So, and we are limited. We have very limited seats for this workshop. So it is not like a webinar. Right now we have more than 50 to 60 people in our webinar right now. It's not for so many people. We are just doing this workshop for 20 to 25 people. That's it. It's a first come, first serve. And you guys are a lucky people. You can use that coupon code to register as soon as possible. That coupon code will end in 10 days. So that will expire in 10 days. You cannot use that coupon code in case if you're losing this 10 days. Okay. Saying this, so now I will show one more demo. So then we will go for a Q&A. I want to just show a chatbot service. So then we can quickly go to a Q&A in case if you guys have any questions. I will show a final demo. Once after that, we'll go to a final Q&A. So at the end of this webinar, the main takeaway from this webinar is going to be, so you might be heard about machine learning. You might be learned about some machine learning webinars. But at end of the machine learning, how does the customer is being served? I mean how your machine learning model is being interacted with your user. So this is where the cloud will come to the picture. This is where AWS comes into the picture. So I'm talking about Amazon Lex. Amazon Lex is a chatbot service where you can able to build a customized chatbot and you can able to interact with a chatbot in a live. In the meantime, this chatbot is getting opened. I will share a registration link in the chat window where you can use that registration link later and you can register for our workshop. Okay, so here is a quick demo. Okay, I have created a chatbot for a flower shop who is selling a different varieties of flowers. Okay, so here, okay, so this chatbot can be integrated. So it's Amazon Lex. It is actually derived from Amazon Alexa. You might be heard about Amazon Alexa. Again, a voice service similar to Google Home. So it is derived from Amazon Alexa. Either I can type or I can able to talk. For example, I'm going to talk. I would like to order some flowers. So then I'm going to input the data. So basically couldn't understand. Fine, now I would like to order some flowers. Let's see whether it is going to take an input. So you can see now it has responded me back. What type of flowers would you like to order? Maybe I can type rose. Okay, so it's not, I don't have one more person interacting behind that. Okay, I don't have one more person interacting behind that. That's a chatbot who is interacting with me. So we don't have rose. Would you like to order a different types of flowers? Our most popular flowers are roses. Okay, fine. I need to type roses. What day do you want to the roses to be picked up? Okay, so now I am going to input an audio. Tomorrow. Okay, couldn't receive the input. Tomorrow. Okay, fine. So let me just type, or I can also type it in a date. Okay, you pick up the roses from tomorrow onwards. You cannot pick up today. Maybe they are not available for delivery. And then let me type 2021-03-22. Okay, at what time tomorrow? Maybe 10 a.m. Okay, well, roses will be picked up at 10 a.m. tomorrow. It will cost $25. Oh God, $25 that is costlier. It is costlier than our upcoming workshop. Right? So yeah, so this is about Amazon Lex chatbot. You can also build Amazon Lex chatbot, and you can able to integrate this Amazon Lex chatbot in any social media, website, blog, something like that. Yeah. So this is all about our webinar. So now we will directly go to a Q&A. In case if you guys have any questions, you can throw me. Right now you can unmute your mic. You can ask a question. Otherwise, you can mention the questions in a chat. I can able to answer. No, Sharif Mohammed, we don't have a certificate for this webinar. So we'll be providing a certificate for our workshop. Yeah. So the workshop is actually not a free of cost. We have a minimal price. It is starting from 1,500 rupees INR. So this workshop for 2 days on 17th and 18th of April, that is Saturday and Sunday. Saturday we just have a half a day. So from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. we'll be having a session, and on a Sunday it's almost a full day. Yes, exactly. It is suitable for beginners. Yes, exactly. This workshop is exactly suitable for a beginners. You will get a clear understanding. So what is machine learning in a first time, and more than that in a professional level, how you can able to use a AWS SageMaker in terms of a machine learning. So if you see, when it comes to job opportunities in terms of machine learning, so which I want to also discuss. So I want to just show a last image in terms of the opportunities in ML and AI, so where you can try to understand. So most of the people doesn't have the realistic information, whether you're going to believe it or not, till 2021. I mean, till today. So machine learning jobs are the high-paid jobs in industry. So here is a quick picture from Glassdoor. So you might know the Glassdoor is a company who puts a lot of data in terms of a job opportunities in the industry. So this is the latest the statistics from Glassdoor. Glassdoor tells what is the minimum starting salary of a machine learning engineer to maximum. So there is no doubt about it. Machine learning related jobs are the high paid jobs till date. You can see minimum salary starts from 501k to maximum 7,000k per annum, mid of 1,500k. So that's the possibilities in ML and AI. So the beauty why actually machine learning jobs are high paid jobs, because there are no competitors much. So there are no there is no much competitors that can able to take up a job. So but this situation is going to change in next 5 to 6 years. So there will be a lot of people again, they have started learning ML and AI. So obviously when we have a too much people inside, obviously the companies can able to get them into a affordable price instead of paying them a more salary. So this would be the right opportunity right now for you guys to get started with a machine learning. So, but in much in a professional level, because many industries, as I mentioned already, like Netflix, IBM, Accenture, or maybe GE, or Morgan Stanley, Tata Consultants, Intel, everyone uses AWS cloud, and especially all these companies that I mentioned here, so they use AWS cloud, especially machine learning services here. So when it comes to AWS, the people who have the skills on AWS, they have a 1+ opportunity. What I will tell, if you know machine learning itself, you have an opportunity. But when once you know a machine learning on a cloud like AWS, right, you have a 1+ opportunity. So right, so that's the one advantage when it comes to the job opportunities. There is no doubt about it. So this is the right time to get started with ML and AI. So it's not something, machine learning is a futuristic technology. We're going to use ML and AI for next 10 years. No, that's not a word right now. So machine learning is also already being a part of our daily life. Okay. Any prerequisites for this workshop? So not much a prerequisites. If you are good at any programming language, let's imagine if you're good at C or Java, or even a Python, you are very much welcome to attend this workshop. So because we'll be doing some basic Python programming and recognition and pacemaker, so where you can understand. So this is a beginner level workshop. So yeah, a minimal requirement. If you are good at using internet and PC, that would be you are most welcome. Yes, please. You can share the registration link for students who are interested. But one more opportunity here is, in case if you're registering for a group, okay, in case if you're decided to register for a group, okay, we have 2 types of tickets today. So one is an individual ticket, another is a group ticket. So in case if you're booking a group ticket, defaultly you'll be getting a 10% discount for each and every person. Not only that, so these workshops are supported by AWS. From AWS side, we are giving away 1,750 rupees AWS credits free for you. So what do I mean by this credit? So with this credit, you will be getting a 1-year free subscription to entire AWS. So you don't want to pay any paisa for AWS, you can use entire cloud for free. So you will get credits in case if you're booking a group of 3 people ticket. Exactly. Moshin asked a question, will your next workshop be suitable for beginners, and will it be focused on engineering applications like predictive maintenance, inventory management? Maybe not inventory management. I don't know, like what is the use cases like in inventory management will be. But yes, we're going to talk about predictive maintenance, that is for sure, in the upcoming workshop. Yeah. Exactly. That's correct. ML is a subset of AI. So if you see all the topics that we're talking about, deep learning, machine learning, or maybe data science, all the stuff, they are the subsets of AI, artificial intelligence. So I will share, so I have shared the registration links already in a chat window. Please check. I will share it once again. The workshop registration link. So I'm going to share the one more link. As I promised you, you can download some free ebooks from this particular link. Just a compensation from us, you spending 90 minutes or more, around 2 hours with us. Yeah. So you can use, you can download the free ebooks from a second link. So we'll share this recording probably either by today or tomorrow via email. And we'll also email you the registration links for the workshop along with a coupon code. I will spare 1 more minute in case if you guys have any questions you can ask, else we can wind up. So Mubashri has asked one more question. Technology is growing too fast. How to keep up with advancement of a technology? So no other option. You need to keep yourself updating by learning the things, more than learning the things, doing more hands-on, doing more practices, maintain your GitHub profile, do a lot of open source projects, collaborate with open source developers, tell them, okay, I can able to compensate, I have a knowledge, you can do some part of yours over there, maintain your profile in your GitHub, maybe a blog. Yeah, so it should be, that's the only option to keep on updating. Yeah. Sharif Mohammed, there is no certificate for today's webinar. So the certificate will be provided for our workshop. Yeah. Okay. So that's awesome. So thank you for making your time to attending this webinar. I hope it is useful and you have learned some valuable information today. And I want you guys to keep connected with our community. So make sure you register for your for our upcoming workshop. So that will be quite fun and a lot of knowledge that we will be learning. So anyway, see you in our next upcoming workshop, and be safe till that. Yeah. So we'll share the recording here. Thank you then. Yeah, have a great day. Enjoy your rest of your evening. Yeah, bye.